Las Vegas Aces are your 2025 WNBA champions. A'ja Wilson is your finals MVP. What does this mean for the Aces in terms of where they started and where they ended up in their season? And how does this team stack up against Aces teams of the past that have been champions? And what does this do for A'ja Wilson in terms of her GOAT argument versus Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, and more? What does this mean for the CBA argument that's been happening behind the scenes and turned public in a very, very ugly way? Get this video a like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to break it down in just a minute.
I'm tired of being humble. I'm tired of letting people think they got a chance. This is my show. This is my camera. I run it all.
All right, now this game is the game that changed everything. And you would have thought this, there's two ways you can go about it. You can continue to get obliterated night in and night out, refuse to figure it out, refuse to come together, or you can have that Rocky 3 moment. That Rocky 3 moment, if you look at Rocky 3, right? Balboa wasn't listening to Mick, wasn't paying attention, lost his focus, lost his way. He loses the first fight versus Clubber Lang. Then Apollo Creed takes him back to the trenches, takes him back into that dark place. He comes out on the other side, gives Clubber Lang that work. Same thing happened here. Aces got dog walked by 53 points. Think about that. You're 14-14 2 months ago. You have the worst loss you've ever experienced. For most of these players, the worst loss they've ever experienced in their lifetime. 53 points. And it's not just 53 to a random team. It's 53 versus the Minnesota Lynx. Napheesa Collier, right? One of the best players in the league. That has to do something to you psychologically. And to bounce back from that, you look 2 months later, they go on a 16-game winning streak. And you have to have players that's willing to sacrifice. Jewel Lloyd saying, you know what? Hey, coach, please, please, please just bring me off the bench. It's going to do wonders for me. It's going to do wonders for the team. A'ja Wilson, she goes back into that dark place like I just talked about, and she comes out on the other side an MVP of the league and a co-defensive player of the year, which that was 100% faulty. I don't agree with that at all. There's no single stat that you can look at that says A'ja Wilson wasn't the defensive player of the year outright, not just outright DPOY. So she has a dominating year. You still have Gray, big time shot maker, can get it done, still one of the best PGs in the league as far as court vision, being a floor general, that clutch factor, that attack mentality that she carries, right? Then you have Jackie Young rounding out the big three, and everybody's looking at this time 14-14, 53-point loss. Man, that Kelsey Plum trade not looking too good. Is Becky Hammond on the hot seat? You bounce back from that and you go on a 16-game winning streak. This may not be or look like the other Aces teams of the past, but they just looked like they got locked into a place they haven't been to in a long time. They looked like that dominating force going into the playoffs, and it showed up in the WNBA finals versus the Mercury. Now, look, we can talk about injuries. We can talk about, referees. We can talk about all that stuff, because guess what? All of those things play a factor to some degree. But when you look at the games, game 1 and 2, it wasn't pretty. Some of it was ugly. Then you look at game 3, right? A'ja Wilson just dominated 34-14, and you hit the game winner to ice it. I don't want to have any other conversations about that game. All right. That's just greatness showing up when it needs to show up. Then you look at game 4, dominating fashion, foul trouble, technical fouls. We ain't going to talk about the situation where the coach got tossed out of the game. Quick 2, didn't even realize he got tossed out of the game. But respect is due. Okay. Mercury fought hard, but the Ace was just like that. Jewel Lloyd couldn't miss all of a sudden from 3. Jackie Young was going to work. She had a big third quarter. I think it was in game 2, went absolutely crazy. So the Aces are the outright champs. It's not going to look like, the dominant fashion of the previous years, but they absolutely 100% in every sense of the word earned this victory. I'm going to call this the Rocky 3 season. One thing we do have to have a conversation about, though, in terms of the CBA, right? Because everybody's going to talk about what are the ratings, what are the numbers, things like that. I see that. I understand it. You want to know, are they attracting attention? Are they bringing more eyes to the game, whether Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are not playing, which those two individuals, they bring a lot of attention to the game. But you got to understand, I talked about Kalir. Asia Wilson is in the GOAT conversation. When you have a player like that, and you have somebody on the basketball court, prime of her career, you have to make sure you take care of that player, and you have to make sure everybody is aware that this is the face of the league. We're going to talk about that. Now, when I look at this, it says the WNBA's latest CBA proposal does not include a supermax salary at or exceeding $1 million in the first year of the deal. The proposal includes a supermax salary closer to $850 and a vet minimum approximately $300. Now, let's talk about that $1 million. When you think about all of the great players of the past, they've had to go to Russia, Germany, China, Mexico, all of these other players around the world to make the amount of money that they feel they've earned, okay? The WNBA is in a place now where endorsements and brand deals are telling these players what they're worth, and then they go to the WNBA and their own league is disagreeing with that number. That is the problem I'm seeing. When you have a situation where the commissioner pointed out, hey, you know, Caitlin Clark's making all of this money off of the court. AR's making all of this money off the court. Paige Beckers is as well. Then you look at somebody like Juju Watkins. All of these players coming into the league had a bag before they got there. The WNBA cannot claim a single player, cannot claim a single instance where they say, we made that player, we built them, we made them who they are to the public eye, because they didn't. They don't know how to do that, which comes into the problem that we're facing now. Angel Reese is in a rarefied air right now. Caitlin Clark is in rarefied air right now. Okay. If you want to look at that and say they had better be thanking me, you're delusional. You're insane. Asia Wilson is your best player, and she should be considered the face of the WNBA. Putting up 28, 12, 3 blocks, shooting 48% in the WNBA finals in a sweep. I can compare her, if we want to put an NBA comparison on it, she's your Tim Duncan. Okay, the dominance, the talent, the skill, the championships, the defense, the offense, the MVP. She's all of that. Except, we're going to be honest, Tim Duncan to the public eye didn't have that much of a personality when, you know, from first glance, right? Asia has every bit of that. She's one of the most charismatic players in the entire W. Probably the most charismatic player in the W. But she's not marketed as such. So when you look at players like that and you say, you know what, you're not worth $1 million, that's not the player's fault. That's your fault. That's the league's fault, because you didn't build her up to be that in the public eye. Her game says it on the court. Anybody who's ever watched the interview, watched the game, watched press conference, anything, they can say Asia Wilson is worth that $1 million max contract. And guess what? If the CBA doesn't fall in line and say, you know what, Asia, you're worth that. Kalir, you're worth that. And anybody who's playing up to that MVP level, or that I'm now in the GOAT conversation level, sure, give them the 850 or anything or something like that, right? Not that 1 million. That 1 million is reserved for players that is on her level. There's very few, so it's not like you got to pay everybody $1 million, right? But that's just my take on that. The next thing we have to talk about is the GOAT conversation. The GOAT conversation. Like I said, I'm a guest in this house, but from the outside looking in, I got a couple things I need to say about Asia Wilson, Maya Moore, I got a couple things I need to get off my chest. Now, when we talk about the GOAT conversation, the first 8 years, you might know who we're talking about. You might not. Pay close attention, all right? On the right, we have Hall of Fame, final MVP, 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-Star Game MVP, 4-time champ. Okay, we have what do we have? One Finals MVP, 7-time All WNBA. Okay, on the right we have a 4-time MVP, 7-time All-Star, 2-time champ, now 3-time champ, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time All Defense, 2-time WNBA Finals MVP, 5-time All WNBA. I mean, listen, that's just the accolades. There's some things that we weigh more. For example, those regular season MVPs, that's a 4-1. I'll take 4-1 as an individual. 5-time All Defense, I'll take 5 over 2. 7-time All WNBA, 5-time All WNBA. Not big of a difference when you look at the fact that we have 7-time All-Star on the left and 6-time All-Star on the right. So I'm not really taking that into account. I'll still give the edge to the left. But now we go to the stats. 21, 9, 2.3 assists, 49, 37, 82 splits over here. And then we go 18, 6, 3, 45, 38, 86 splits. Player efficiency rating, 28.9 to 24.6. And we got more win shares on the left. Just going by accolades and numbers. This is just the first 8 years of the career. The first 8 years, okay? Now, let's see who these individuals are. I'm just saying, if you go by accolades, if you go by stats, and both of these players have played 8 complete seasons, you gotta go and look at the left and say, I'd rather have that resume. Not by much. It's not like she's blowing her out of the water, right? But you have an edge nonetheless. So in terms of this conversation, I would say that A'ja Wilson does leap over Maya Moore in the GOAT conversation. But allow me to be absolutely 100% clear, okay? Diana Taurasi is still the greatest of all time. 20 years in the game. You know her stats. She holds pretty much all of the records. She can pass. She can score. She can shoot. She can play defense. One of the best winners, right? College to the WNBA. Diana Taurasi is still the greatest of all time. But when you look at what A'ja's done in 8 years, you're going to say, you know what? If I get 7 more years that even comes close to what we've seen, A'ja Wilson will be crowned the greatest of all time by the end of her career. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments who your WNBA GOAT is. That's one more for the good guys.